Okay, we are live. All right. Hey, welcome to another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I am Dr. Paula Ruffin.
And I'm Dr. Erica Peabody. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so we are just want to welcome in. We're streaming to multiple channels. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, we're on multiple YouTube channels, and our newest channel that we're streaming to is It's All About the Biology. Super grateful for Ken Somerville for bringing us on this channel. So we want to say a warm welcome and hello to everyone coming in from all channels, but especially our new viewers from It's All About the Biology. So I thought, since we're new to that channel, Dr. Erica, you might want to tell them why we are here. What's our show all about? And why are we called Chiropractic is Sexy?
So we started this show a year and 3/4 of a year, almost 2 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, it's got it. Yeah, it was November a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
October. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. I just can't even believe that. So anyway, we started with, we put together our little thumbnail, and it was like conversations with two hot docs. And it sounded a little like conversations with two hot dogs. So
it looked like two hot dogs.
Yeah. Dr. Paula changed it real quick to Chiropractic is Sexy. And what we've decided is that fits us the best, because when we talk about all these things about moving around in our world well, about healing and being healthy and being flexible and having a powerful immune system, a clear brain, clear vision, and strength to get through the days, like there's nothing sexier than that. And so, yeah, it just kind of stuck. And here we are so many weeks later and still making it happen. So
I'm actually looking up the playlist right now because we're getting close to 100 episodes, Erica, and we have to make sure that we are celebrating that. Like,
yeah.
Okay, we're on episode 83, but I may not have applied.
Okay. I was like, don't sit and count to 80, whatever right now. We got people to talk to, places to go.
Right? Let's do it.
So one of the things that came up over the last couple of days, and it comes up in our practice all the time. Dr. Paula came up with snapping hip syndrome. Someone said to her the other day, one of the ones that's so common right now in my practice is cortisol overwhelm syndrome. That's not even a thing. That's not even a thing. But anyway, we have a long list, and Dr. Paula has that list of some of the diagnoses that people bring in, and that some of them are actually just truly and honestly catch-alls for stuff that for the body giving us signals that we're doing a bad job at managing it. So I'm going to let Dr. Paula kind of go over the list of some of the things that we hear on a regular basis, just because these might be things that you thought you've had at one point. It might be something that you've heard about before, but just know that like our body is just experiencing this. We don't have to claim it, call it my snapping hip syndrome, my cortisol overwhelm syndrome. Like, let's stop with that, but let's start with the list.
Yeah. I just want to comment on that real quick, is that what you just said about is the worst thing anybody can do is get a diagnosis and then own it. Because when you are owning my fibromyalgia, and people go, my fibro, they even shorten it.
I know, right?
Oh my God, it's crazy.
My thing, yes.
My thing. You are owning it. You are driving it deeper into your neurology, and you are less likely to heal from it when you're telling your nervous system that it is a part of your nervous system. I choose to tell my patients to invite these things to leave your body. You do not own them. They do not pay you rent, and they have no business being here. And so it is time to let them go and tell them to move on their way. And so Dr. Erica said, talking about what some of these diagnoses are, and when you go to the medical doctor for something, pain in your elbow, Elbow tendonitis. What does that mean? That means that your tendon is inflamed and it hurts.
In your elbow.
In your elbow. Duh.
That's it.
Duh. But people feel really good when they're given some fancy Latin name applied to some ailment that they have. They feel better that it actually has a name. Mm-hmm. And as chiropractors, we don't care what it's called. We do not care. I mean, we kind of care because we care about you, but where our purpose lies in that if you have pain in your hip, we are going to figure out why you have pain in your hip. If you come to me and you say, I have a snapping in my hip, and I go, oh, well, you got snapping hip syndrome. That is a diagnosis, you guys. That does not help you. It does not help you for me to give you a diagnosis that just tells you what you already have, other than you're like, oh, it has a name. Right. Great. And one of the things that, and I have two stories about this, but I had a patient come in, this was a couple of years ago. She came in and she had piriformis syndrome. Now, the piriformis muscle is a tiny muscle over your butt cheek, and it tamps down or it straps down the sciatic nerve. So it's basically there to help keep the sciatic nerve in place. The piriformis can get tight. It can put pressure on the sciatic nerve. It can mimic symptoms of sciatic pain, which is pain going down your leg. However, what I found in my 27 years, and I'm sure Dr. Erica would concur, is that it's often secondary to something else. An imbalanced pelvis can cause muscular imbalances and cause tension and tightness, or maybe just lack of flexibility. There's so many things that feed into piriformis syndrome. So if people go to the physical therapist for piriformis syndrome and they focus just on that tiny little muscle, that's not going to help people. Mm-hmm. So going back to the snapping hip syndrome, this particular patient, was the inspiration for today's live, was that this patient came in and she was new to my practice, and she told me that her hips keep snapping, and she finally went to the doctor and she had snapping hip syndrome. And as I started to question her about her history, and she's very active, she's like mid-50s, so certainly I'm sure estrogen or lack of estrogen, menopause is playing a role in that. But then she told me too that she has had 5 kids and that she was on bed rest for all 5 kids. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I took an x-ray. And I looked at her x-ray, and as I'm looking at her x-rays, I said to her, did you see a chiropractor during your pregnancies? And she, had to think about it because her kids are grown. And she says, she goes, no, actually, no, I didn't start seeing a chiropractor till like after. And I said, okay. I said, because she also then said, no one could figure out why I had to be on bed rest with all of my pregnancies. And I said, well, I'll tell you something. If you'd have gone to a chiropractor, they'd have figured out exactly what is going on in your pelvis that was requiring you to be on bed rest. Mm-hmm. And they probably would have helped to correct it so you didn't have to be on bed rest. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, and I meant to bring my little spine over, but let's just say, so down in your lower back, your sacrum, it's the big flat bone way down where a lot of people say my tailbone. So down there, and that should have this nice arc like this, and it sits in between your hips. And that's what's called your pelvic bowl. And the pelvic bowl houses the uterus and all the reproductive organs. Her sacrum, which let's just say it should be like this, is tipped it's almost flat to the ground, which then means that her spine, all the weight is coming through her lumbar spine. So the sacrum should actually balance the spine like this, but hers is way up here. So now she's got all this weight shearing down this way. The pelvic bowl is imbalanced. And I'm like, you can't, like, that's a scenario that is not healthy for your uterus to carry life. She did, and thankfully she had, 5 healthy births, but it didn't require bed rest. If she would have been sent to the chiropractor, like 5 pregnancies and not one gynecologist sent her to a chiropractor. That to me is, if you're having issues with pregnancy, get thee to a chiropractor. Let's balance out that pelvis so that the baby can can form and grow better. Likewise, with that kind of a situation, the hips have to adapt into a different position. So of course, they're not going to have the flexibility. Of course, the tendons and ligaments are going to be snapping because her pelvis is completely out of alignment. So all of that stuff, she doesn't have snapping hip syndrome. She has a completely rotated pelvis that is creating an inability for her hips to adapt to this position that she's been in most of her life. So,
well, and also and also those are patterns that get established. I mean, I talk to the patients all the time. Like we fall, a average human falls 3,000 times by the age of 2 years old, just learning to walk. So if something were to happen then, which almost always something happens in that time frame, but then growing up like that, the body is in these patterns. And when the body has a pattern like that, and the sacrum is this way instead of this way, the body is compensating down low, but also the muscles are interfering with the nerves. And yes, we work with bones, but it's to access the actual nervous system and the nerves that control and coordinate everything that she's doing. So look, in retrospect, I got to say it's actually if a OB or, well, the midwives always refer to us, but if the OB is not referring out for chiropractic care, it's almost negligence at this point. It really is, because our bodies need help during pregnancy. And that specific patient, it's the fastest time that much weight, up to 40 to 50 pounds, gets added onto the spine, onto the body, but onto the spine and the center of gravity in 9 months' time. So that's a very, very, very quick time to add that much weight. But then also, and I'm not even saying about bouncing back after having babe, but just the simple mere fact that the baby, the placenta and the center of gravity, like all of that releases off of the spine and the pelvis just like that, and not just like that, because it can be long labor. So I'm not trying to minimize by saying just like that, but those kinds of things then interfere with how the nervous system is functioning, and the nervous system is all working like this beautiful orchestra through the entire body. So I would not be surprised if she were to look back in her pregnancy and on bed rest, how many other ways that she felt really, really yucky, and that how much, as a neck adjustment and an upper back adjustment and all of those, even though the pelvis is such a disaster, those things would have helped her along the way too. So the fact that she's coming in with what's called snapping hip is like, you guys, we got to stop. We got to stop labeling it that, because this woman gets that label from an MD now, and she'll take that on to 40 more years of her life, calling it, I have this thing called snapping hip syndrome.
She's been carrying that around. So
it's a tough one.
And sidebar on that too, when I asked her any accidents, injuries, slips, trips, falls, anything, which is what I ask everybody. And she was like, nope, nothing. I'm like, not even like when you were younger, like, she's like, no. And then after I took her x-ray and I was like, okay, you definitely have arthritis, which is a term. So I'll give you my caveat to that. Mm-hmm. Arthritis is pain in the joint. So let's just say that. So inflammation in the joint, that's arthritis. That's all it is. People say my arthritis, they think there's nothing they can do about it. Mm-hmm. So we know she has arthritis. I tell people that, and I'll say, listen, I'm going to tell you what the mainstream label is for this. And then we're going to crumple it up and we're going to throw it away. We're not going to speak of this again. But I also do believe that we have to kind of give you the link, because then what will inevitably happen is she's going to be like, do you think I have arthritis in my neck? She's going to come back and ask me the question. It happens all the time. So I do have to speak in that language for a minute, but make sure that I'm prefacing it with, but we're never going to speak of this again. You're not going to own this. But what was interesting is after I said, you have this condition in your neck, and clearly you've had some kind of accident or injury, I asked you earlier, she goes, do you think it, okay, wait, are you ready? Are you ready for this? She goes, do you think it's from when I was younger and I rode horses? I mean, like I barrel raced.
Yep. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe,
That's part of it. That's
maybe.
part of it. The body keeps score. We talk about this all the time too. The body keeps score. It kept
Mm-hmm.
score of all of those things that led up to that, and then add 5 pregnancies on top of that. Plus, who knows? She probably has a sitting job or a certain repeat motion or whatever. Like there's so many things that add into it, and we care and we don't care.
Right.
We care because you care, and we don't care because we still have to do the same work that we were always going to be doing anyway, which is let's just get your spine mobile and moving and aligned and allow your body to take care of itself, because it can do that. It can take care of itself.
I love that we care and we don't care, because, you know, that I think that's a really important statement, because it's just like the arthritis thing. Like if somebody comes in and is like, you know, do you think I have arthritis? I'm not going to say, I don't care. Like I do care, because again, this is the language that you all have been taught, and the world that you have been taught of how to communicate with what your body is experiencing. So what our job is to do is to help you understand the reality of those labels. And so, yes, we care, because we want to give you a better option. We want to give you a better outcome. We want to give you a better mindset around it, so you don't walk around owning these things. And I have a few more. One of my favorites is IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, which like so many people have. So your bowels are angry. How does that help you? You know your bowels are angry. How does that help you?
She sent me a text message. I was like, okay, so her medical doctor said blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, doctor, obvious.
Right. Yeah.
Like, yes, my bowels are irritated. It's stuff that I'm doing to myself, or eating or not eating or what have you. Yes. But as soon as they give you that label, they can give you a medication that goes along with that label. And that's where we are so different. So different, proudly different. We'll stand here for the rest of my life and say, thank goodness we're different, because we don't give medications out. We also don't have to not sleep at night. We sleep really well at night, because we're not introducing and injecting and all the things, stuff that is really detrimental to our health, to try and handle health.
We can't put negative things in the body and expect a positive outcome. And negative things are in the form of toxic chemicals, not enough water, not enough exercise. We have to put positive things into the system, and we'll get a positive outcome. But the more things we don't do to support our body and our health, and of course, if you're taking a medication for irritable bowel, Crohn's, colitis, I have inflammation in my colon. Right. I had a patient one time. Working with her was a joy. We did chiropractic care. We were doing functional medicine testing, figured out she had food and chemical sensitivities. She was on medication for years for colitis. And she was like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I no longer have to run to the bathroom. I'm no longer stressed about taking long car rides. And she went back. She goes, I'm having a follow-up with my my doctors at who were the experts at U of M, which is my alma mater. And I'm like, shame on them. Like, I feel so ashamed to even say that. But she goes and she has a follow-up with her expert doctors, and they tell her, they were like, oh, there's no correlation between your colitis and food. So you need to go back on the medication. And they scared her so badly, it did not matter all the work we had done over the previous months and how much I had gotten her gut healed. They scared the crap out of her, literally. Yeah, and she went back on the medication and she stopped care.
Yeah.
And which is heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking.
the medications that all they're doing is just,
And the side
to be
effects.
honest, well, the side effects, yes. But to be honest, the more that we see, the more patients that we see, the more we hear something that sounds like this. I went to the MD and they gave me blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't seem like it's helping. And I'm going to stay on it, even though because they gave it to me. And it's like, you guys, we cannot take blind faith of whatever they're giving you and just put it in the body without what they call side effects, but they call it side effects, even though it's actual effects. Like, this isn't take this and it's just a little side effect that you might commit suicide, kill somebody else, or die yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that's effects. It's not side effects. So change the lingo around that. And what we have is something so different than that. However, you have to be so super mindful of what you're doing with your body. Dr. Paula was saying the only thing that we really can do is increase from the inside out. So I was thinking about this analogy as we're sitting here. So first of all, Cake in a Cup asked the question. My chiro said, I have tennis and golfer's elbow and they will never repair. Is he trying to keep me from lifting weights and getting better so that he has a lifelong pain patient? It's a really great question. So first of all, thank you for your comment. Thank you for your question. And it's really hard to say. That's not how Dr. Paula and I would practice. So without speaking directly to your chiropractor, it would be hard to say. But what we do want to encourage you to do is if there's something that's irritating your body, stop doing whatever that is, right? So we can't, like, I have this patient that came in, he's like, I can't feel my right arm and I got to play tennis. He came in yesterday. He's coming back today. I can't feel my right shoulder and I can't stop playing tennis. Now I get it. It sounds like there's a little bit of a mindset, a little bit of a cognitive dissonance there. So I get it. We can't keep assaulting the body, expecting it to heal. So hard to say exactly what your chiro was saying. No, they're not looking for a lifelong pain patient. What we're looking for is to always be helping increase the light from within so that we can heal. So what I was thinking when Dr. Paula was saying, we got to increase all the things from the inside. I'm sitting in this dark room right now, mostly because it's helping put the right light on me, where Dr. Paula's in a light room, right? I cannot take any of this darkness and pull it out of this room. Like, I can't take that and pull it somehow out of here. The only thing that I can do with this dark room is flip a light switch. So that's the only way. The only way to heat up a cold room, you can't take the cold out. You have to bring the heat in. And so as chiropractors, we're always talking about how to light from the inside, turn our power on from the inside, respect it with the body, the natural laws of the body, eat well, move well, think well, get your rest, get your water, and get adjusted. Those things are what help to keep this light from within burning so that your body can adapt and adjust to the stresses in life. So thank you for that question and thinking about this dark room. My only way is to turn the lights on. That's it.
Yeah, that's a great, I kind of want to drop the mic on that and say, see you next week. Yeah. It was so great. And there are so many things that could be going on there because Dr. Eric and I, and most chiropractors are pretty holistic, practice like she and I do, but many don't either. And so this is like anything else. If you're not getting the care that you need in my office, let me find you another chiropractor. Mm-hmm. If you need something else, I've sent patients up to Dr. Erica because they couldn't come and see me. I've sent patients to other chiropractors who do other therapies that I don't. So what we love to do is try to create a team around you. And so if you have golfer and tennis elbow, and your chiropractor doesn't adjust your extremities, so they don't adjust any of this. If they don't discuss with you the inflammation in your body. Cake in a cup. I don't know what you look like. I don't know if you are inflamed. I don't know if you're a man or a woman. I don't know if you're in menopause. I don't know if you have a crappy diet. I don't know if you drink enough water. I don't know if you get enough sleep. And so those are all conversations that your chiropractor should be having with you, because just by saying, does he want a lifelong patient? Also, if Dr. Eric and I, if you are our patient, we are having those conversations with you, and then you made a comment about, are you looking for a lifelong patient? She and I we're pretty direct. We would probably say to you, no, what we want you to do is do what we tell you to do so you can feel better.
Yeah, and take care of yourself. Ultimately,
Yeah.
that's what we're really looking for. So the other part too, as a lifelong patient, because people do ask, once you start, maybe you can't ever stop. But here's the thing. Once you start under chiropractic care, you will start to know how you're supposed to feel. So then your choices are from there. But just like Dr. Paula said, like I would see if you could change up care, maybe it's not quite the right match. But the other thing is, like, my patients will say, oh, should I stop vaping? Oh, should I stop smoking? Oh, should I stop eating a bunch of crap? Yes, unless you don't want to feel well.
Yeah.
We can't feel well if we're doing that kind of stuff. So try to activate muscles.
Let's see what this is.
Yeah, let's see. Endings.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
yeah. So you have rotator cuff tears. I mean, that, that could just be part of your future. So again, rotator cuff tears tells me trauma. Again, we don't know what kind of trauma, but these are really good questions, Cake in a Cup, and really good comments, because also I think that oftentimes people come to us. We're often the last resort for people. People have often had, so they've gone from doctor to doctor to doctor. They have not been able to get answers. They're living in pain. They want optimized health, and they show up in the chiropractor's office. And so we're often getting people when they're at the worst of the worst. So this is where it takes a process. And so as a lifelong patient, I don't know how long you've been seeing your chiropractor, and have you been going for years? And Dr. Eric and I both have patients who have been coming to see us for years, the life of our practices, many people. So when you have rotator cuff tears, that implies injury, it implies trauma. So, we're just not at liberty to say this is how you're going to be, but also you may be expecting your chiropractor to perform miracles, and given your health situation and your history, there may only be so much, we call it a limitation of matter. But so the body may only be able to heal to a certain degree, but you should be working to get it to be as optimized as possible in the face of any traumas, any accidents, injuries, any poor dietary health. I mean, we talk often about the body's will to survive and all the shit we can throw at it: poor diet, lack of sleep, lack of exercise, no hydration. We can throw so much at it and it still will survive. Does that mean it's optimized? No. But you should be looking at what are all the things that you can be doing to optimize everything that you have.
I was going to say, so Dr. Paul and I are long-term athletes, right? So, I mean, we've been either playing sports or active or taking, taking workout classes, yoga, something for decades. And we have also run into we're human, our own injuries that it's just like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to heal? Both of us simultaneously about a year ago started to look into laser therapy, and we both brought in a laser healing tool. So Cake in a Cup it might be, and of course we're kind of we want to be sitting here and helping people individually. Yeah. So it's just that little handheld laser that Dr. Paula just pulled up. And it's a really powerful tool. So instead of going in for surgeries and stuff like that, it's really awesome to, and one chiropractor physio, and I'm waiting on a surgeon to come in. It's really awesome to go in with the laser. And what it does is, so injuries, the body gets injured and then it sort of like starts to, if it's chronic enough, it'll start to kind of check out and go dull and like dim like this room. And so what the laser does, it's called photobiomodulation, and it goes in and it sends light wavelengths into the cells and it activates the mitochondria. The mitochondria are each one of the little cells. It's the engine. So it starts to turn the healing on by igniting the engine inside of the cells. And then we have a brand new body like every 7 years, right? So what is limiting our ability to turn the cells over into healthy cells and create a healthy environment for the cells? That can be mindset, that can be food, that can be lack of movement, that can be so many different things. So it's always everything. And that's why we're on here every week talking about how we can heal and optimize in the very best way, and adding chiropractic care because the nerve system controls and coordinates everything. So yeah, so it's always everything. The body keeps score. It hangs on to traumas and the tissues. And we just do our very best every single week to come on here and share. I had this new patient this morning, and I mean, okay, so let's be honest. The patients that come into our offices, many, and I mean a majority of them should have been here a decade or 2 decades ago. And they have some misnomer about what chiropractic's all about and how dangerous it is and blah, blah, blah. You can reach out to either one of us personally. Let's chat, right? It's safe what we're doing. It's safe. Our businesses wouldn't be open for this long, but also go sooner than later. This isn't necessarily directed at you, Cake in the Cup, because it sounds like you've been under care, but just in general, don't stop waiting. Just stop waiting. We make it affordable and easy, limit the barriers to access to us here, but also personally in our offices. So it's always, I should have been here 10 years ago. I should have been here 15 years ago. I should have been here when this first happened. I should have been here when I was falling 3,000 times at the age of 2. I should have been here when I was in utero.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, and just a quick comment back to Cake in the Cup is that, first of all, if your chiropractor is telling you no exercise, nothing, I would question that. But also this goes along with something that you said earlier, Erica, about people on medication, and they're like, well, I'm going to keep taking this because my doctor prescribed it. In the same respect, people will say, it's not helping and I want to get off of this. So when I go see my doctor in 3 months, I'm going to have a conversation with them about, they have to get me off of this. And it's like, you're in more charge than you think. Like, you shouldn't have to wait 3 months. You should be able to figure something else out. If something's not working, you shouldn't have to wait 3 months to see your primary care physician who prescribed that, especially if you know it's going to do more harm. So I would really advocate more for yourself to change that situation fast. And if your chiropractor is saying no exercise, I mean, if it's your arms and your shoulders, you can still walk. There's rehab exercises. So again, this is kind of like, we don't know the whole story, but and to your comment about the arms are not designed to last 35 years of hard work, our bodies are designed for 120 years of life. Mm-hmm. So to say that the arms are not designed for 35 years, repetitive stress, probably not, right. But our bodies are designed actually to live to 120 years. We are designed for hard work. If we don't move, we die. And that is one of the biggest cornerstones of what we do, is make sure that you are able to stay mobile and moving and optimized.
And independent. I had that patient that I talk about a lot. She's in on Thursdays. And this week she said, you know what? I've had a good week. And I'm like, great. She said, you know what I did? She said, I planted my garden. I still have some flowers to do. And she said, I feel like my legs are stronger because I did that. And I'm like, yeah, it actually, and this is like weeks and weeks and weeks, months and months of just having a hard time. Mm-hmm. And I've sat down with her and I've given her the what for, and I've actually dropped some, pretty intense words in it. But our goal for you is, every single one of you listening, is independent living for as long as possible and high quality of life all the way towards the end of life. And so it's really, really important. The investments we make today matter today. They really matter at the quality of life at the end of life. And my favorite patient story, there's a section in the paperwork that says, what brings you to the office? And his answer, my favorite answer of 20 years is, I want my health expectancy to match my life expectancy. And Dr. Paula and I will continue to come to you every Thursday because of that. That is our biggest why of like, we want your health and our health personally, and our for baby's health and our family's health expectancy to match our life expectancy. And nobody wants to end life like a lot of people are ending life right now. Nobody wants that. I have a patient here. He's like, in this facility, he doesn't need independent living, or he doesn't need assisted living help yet, but he's in a facility where that is. His regular rent, mind you, they clean his apartment, his 1,200 square foot apartment once a week, $4,400 a month. And he said, if I needed assisted living in there, it's $6,000 to $11,000 a month. I'm sorry. We can't even afford that. And I can tell you, and Dr. Paula would tell you this, $4,400 a month, $4,400 would get you an entire year of care with us.
Yeah.
1 month worth of assisted living. And for $11,000 a month, $11,000 worth of chiropractic care, health benefits, going to get acupuncture, yoga studio, going to the gym, all of that stuff. You took that $11,000 that you would pay in assisted living fees for 1 month, you extend that out over an entire year, you're going to be able to have a healthy effing year and get great care around every corner. It depends on where your priorities are. And I don't mean to get on my soapbox, and 100% I absolutely do. These numbers are atrocious. Our country can't afford that. Our families can't afford that. We can't afford that. But if you took that money that you would spend in 1 month at the end of life and you start investing right now, you're going to get exceptional health-driven care now. Get on it. I'm telling you, get on it.
I think that is an incredible way to end the show, because personally, I never thought of it like that. So you taught me something today, a perspective of what we spend our money on. And so, yeah, if you want to be that person that ends up in assisted living for $11,000 a month, how about the investment that you can get for, you could do all the things
all of
for
it,
a whole year, if
all
not
of it.
more, all the things, everything
Yep.
that is going to optimize you so you don't end up there. So I think that's just an amazing perspective. And yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was a good one.
I know, I get chill. So we really, I mean, I deal with miracles every day. Dr. Paula deals with miracles every day. One of the reasons we're here with you every week is because we cannot get outside of our offices enough to shout these messages from the rooftops, from the mountaintops, from the hilltops. And once we start to gain that, like I'm like, I got literally chills from head to toe, because it's really significant what we're doing right now. And it's really significant. And, you know, fortunately, we have some changes going on at high levels in the US government right now when they're pulling things off the shelf. They're pulling requirements, demands, and just all the things. They're changing it. So we will have more and more medical autonomy as we go forward. Is really what we're hoping for, and we can have healthier lives. So anyway,
and just remember that dye-free Fruit Loops are not healthier than dye-filled Fruit Loops. So let's just establish that right now. So
anyway,
okay,
got a little somber on here. So.
I'm like, boy, we hit our soapboxes today, didn't we? All right, well, with that, we thank you guys for being here today. We will see you next week. I will see you Sunday on Sunday Night Live. And enjoy the rest of your week. As always, let us know if you have any questions, comments, show topics that you want us to focus on. And again, we appreciate your comments, your engagement, and just watching us show up here every week. Because if you weren't here, we'd be here alone. So thanks so much, you guys.
Appreciate it. Love you guys.